Today's webinar is titled Global Flavors, Local Voices, and it is authentic storytelling across travel, food, literature, and digital spaces. My name is Otto Bonton, and I will be your host for today. Now, first, I want to thank everyone for coming on board. I know Saturdays we like to rest, and this is going to be a laid back session. It's not anything really, as in, it's not going to be uptight. It's going to be an easy session. There's going to be, I'll just give access to Faith, just so that she can handle the polls. There's certain questions, I want us to take part in. It would be fun, so don't worry about it. And then today, we're talking about global flavors, local voices, and it's about storytelling. I won't be doing this alone. I'll be doing it with 5 other people. I'm going to read their profile. It's a brief profile, so don't worry. I'm going to read their brief profile shortly, and each of them bring a distinct perspective, and wealth of knowledge to what we're going to be talking about. There are stories you want to hear because there are stories that I'm sure every person would relate with. But before we start, let's say before we go into details, because we're talking about storytelling, most of you know that I just published a book. And then my book is titled Girls Don't Travel Just for Flowers. That's what it looks like. Now, when I wanted to write a book, I wanted to write a book that I thought I know people would want to read. And it was about telling my story because no two stories are the same. So it was about telling my story, authentically and, just expressing myself, finding a platform where I could express myself and also inspire someone out there. And so far, the feedback has been good. Now, the thing about travel, you might say, okay, this is about travel. Yes, the main story here is curated around travel. But however, there is a lifestyle part of it. There is a living part of it. There is a part that celebrates resilience. There is a part that encourages you to tell your story, no matter what you think that story. Someone out there is out ready to listen to you and read that story because it is peculiar to you. And so, I wrote here that, it's a reminder that while travel often gives us beauty and breathtaking moments, it is so much more than the picture perfect experiences. It's self-discovery, it's courage, and it's the power to write our stories unfiltered and authentic. And in many ways, this webinar is all about it. It's about digging deep, finding meaning, and telling stories beyond the surface. So I'm going to read my speaker's profile briefly before I maybe ask a few questions. Now I have Anita Solomon with me. Anita is a digital marketing coach and entrepreneur who has helped over 1,000 entrepreneurs launch profitable Etsy shops and social media brands, often with nothing more than a mobile phone. With more than 15 years of experience in online business, she is passionate about empowering individuals to transform their passion and personal stories into income through the power of digital media. Now, I have Amarachi Holsenberg. She's here. Amarachi is a software engineer with a deep passion for travel and creative writing. This passion led her to create Travel with a Pen, a vibrant travel blog where she shares her experiences journeying across Africa and across the world, inspiring others to explore destinations and culture. I have Enobong Etuk here. Enobong is an integrative leadership coach and speaker with over a decade of experience in sales and marketing. A lifelong learner and grounded in strong family values, she is committed to helping individuals with authenticity and purpose. Beyond coaching, Enobong is also the owner of a lifestyle bookstore where she curates inspiring reads for personal and professional growth. Now I have Raphael Edem as well here. Raphael is a Toastmaster. He's a master of ceremonies. Hi, mommy, I can see mommy here. Broadcaster and expert in organizational protocol. He currently serves as the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor of Akwa Ibom State on brand management and marketing. With a dynamic presence and a passion for effective communication, Raphael brings a wealth of experience to every stage and platform he engages with. Now, Uganze Udekalu, fondly known as your food geek, Uganze is a food and restaurants blogger dedicated to connecting food lovers and helping them make informed dining choices. Through storytelling, food photography, and restaurant reviews, she not only, builds engaging experiences for her audience, but she also helps restaurants boost their visibility and attract customers. So you would agree with me that we have the power-packed team. Now, I'm going to, just so that, we get to speak to our panelists, I'm going to ask a question. And maybe my first question, I'll look around who is here. Raphael, please, you would start. If you could describe your storytelling style as a flavor or dish, what would it be and why? Now it has to be a Nigerian dish. It has to be a Nigerian dish. If you had to describe your storytelling style, as a flavor or maybe as a dish, what would it be? And please, for my panelists, I need your videos on, please. Thank you very much.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, but I can't see you. Thank you, Amarachi. Thank you. Uganze, we're waiting for you.
Okay, in a short while, you'll get to see me. However, to answer your question, I think first off, let me say something that at least 6 different people have said to me. When the list of panelists came out, they were like, "Oh, Raphael, blessed are you amongst women." So yeah, I guess I should say that I'm blessed, blessed amongst women to be here. That's one. Secondly,
so your sound is not very good, please. Your sound is not very good. I don't know if I'm the only one with that experience.
Okay, can I suggest you take another person on this? Let me try to fix that. I'll come back to talk about it.
Okay, so Uganze, you next.
I know what the problem is, yes.
Uganze, if you could describe your storytelling telling style as a flavor or a dish, this should be easy for you. What kind of food would it be and why? Uganze, you need to unmute yourself, please.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. So I'll say pasta as a dish to describe my storytelling style and two. Not because I love pasta. That's my favorite dish outside of Nigerian dishes, of course. I love pasta because it's very simple. It's very minimal. For you to enjoy pasta, you don't need a lot of ingredients as we contrarily think. Don't need to pack all the pepper and all the Maggi, all this stuff. Just keep it simple with simple herbs, ingredients, and you're good to go. So I would say my storytelling style is very simple, yet very authentic and can easily be connected to. That's it.
Beautiful. And then Amarachi, what would you say?
Okay, I think for me, I was going to say jollof, but then I feel like after hearing the pasta story, so let me quickly change it. So for me, I would say my storytelling style, maybe I'll say fried yam and eggs.
Okay.
because I think that I like to offer storytelling in the sense where what I'm trying to tell you can be easily replicated. So it's not like overly complex. When I relate this to travel, it's like when I tell my story, I want the audience to be able to relate to that in the sense that they can plan their own trips just by listening to what I'm saying, or they can be inspired to, go on a similar experience that I've had. So that's how I describe my storytelling style.
Thank you, Anita. So you would be next, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
I'm not exactly sure. I don't have the option to, put on my.
Okay, that's because you joined as a guest. I'll figure that out. I will try and figure it out.
Okay. Okay, I'll describe my storytelling style like spicy jollof. I'm bold and spicy, with full of energy and emotion, and I think I'm very relatable as well. So I like to carry my audience along with me, showing them how easy it is to do what I do, or do what I, help my audience do or teach them what to do. So in terms of how to tell their stories, how to build their audience, how to grow their own business based on their passion or what they love or the skills that they have. So I would describe my storytelling style as spicy, vibrant, energetic, and bold. Just like
Okay,
spicy
beautiful.
jollof, smoky, taste to it, roasted chicken and, all of that.
Okay, you're taking it you're taking it far, Anita,
So I'm going to
So,
try to, I'm trying, I'll leave now and then I'll come see if I can get in properly. So I'll just go to that email you sent.
okay, so just try and join through the email that, I sent to you. It's easier for you to, you will make it to the panel, to the panel session once you do that. Now, and Nobong was going to be my first speaker, but she just sent me a message that she's having difficulties joining. I have to take time to figure that out. So right now, I think Ganze, you will go first. Now, before you go first, and Nobon was supposed to be the first, but then we're going to talk to you, Ganze. And now, sometimes the best meals are the ones we didn't plan, just like the best stories. I am going to talk about um, I'm going to make reference to the paragraph here just before you take us on this session. Now, it's on page 205 of Girls Don't Travel Just for Flowers. It says, sitting at the table, surrounded by the dishes they had prepared, Ayanti realized that food really is a language of its own. It speaks of history, geography, and identity. And in that kitchen in Rio, she found herself not only learning about Brazilian food, but also reconnecting with the flavors of home in a way she hadn't expected. Traveling has taught Ayanti many things, but one of the most profound lessons is that we're all connected, and sometimes the best way to feel that connection is through the simple act of sharing a meal. Now, Oganze, how does food tell stories that connect people and places? You've heard Ayanti's story. We want you to tell us about your story. And then, we also want you to, we know you do a lot of food, you promote restaurants. We can see what you do. We love it. I admire what you do. And so we want you to take us on that journey. And then we want you to tell us a few things because there are people out there who want to do the same thing that you're doing. We want to be able to know how we can transform this, thing that we're passionate about into a way that can generate income.
Okay. Thank you for having me, Otobong. I'm excited to be here. And congratulations on your book. It's really it's inspiring because I know when you started this traveling thing, I remember. So I'm happy to see how far you've taken it and how far you intend to take it. So well done and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so what I do majorly with my brand, Your Food Geek, is to discover different types of food by visiting different restaurants. Now, I do not believe that food is just food. There's a lot to food beyond the tasting of the food. I always tell people that if there's something that I know for a fact that connects everybody easily, irrespective of your race, where you're from, what you look like, what you do for a living, whoever you are, what you do in life, food is one thing that connects everybody easily without even trying so hard. So even if you don't love food, I know people use terms like food lovers, foodies, and all of that. You don't necessarily have to be a huge food lover for food to connect you to the next person. It's the most easily, device out there, a tool that connects people together. Food is also a conversation starter. Now, how does food connect people? It's very easy. By sharing a meal with someone, it could be me sharing a meal with you. I'm already connecting with you. irrespective of maybe your choice of a meal, my own choice of a meal, we will be connected easily just by the fact that we're enjoying food. And before you know it, we're having conversations around the food. What are you having? What does it look like? What does it taste like? And there's a connection already. People bond easily through food. It could be through a family gathering. It could be through a social outing. It could be, sorry, you want to say something? Can you hear me?
You can go ahead. Sorry, please.
Okay.
Just go. Don't be distracted by
Yes,
me. Yeah.
yes. So food can easily connect us. It could be a family gathering. It could be a social outing. There's food on the table. Everybody comes together. They are eating, and it stirs up a conversation of different things. And before you know it, we're talking about history, culture, just through food. As simple as it seems, just food. I mean, if I take afang soup, for example, that's one of my favorite meals to eat from your region, Otto. I know that we love our afang soup in different ways, but are we bonded by it? Yes, all of us are bonded by it. I could choose to use red oil in mine, a lot of it. You may not like that, but the fact remains that afang soup has bonded you and I together, and we're having to talk about it. So people connect easily with food. Like I said, you don't have to be a huge food lover. It's just enough that you're eating food. So it stirs up conversation. And before you know it, we go beyond the food. We're talking culture, we're talking history, we're talking identity. For example, we can easily identify afang soup to a certain part of the country. That's already given identity. And it's connecting us to the people from there. So I don't have to be from Akwa Ibom, but I can eat afang soup and get a feel of what the people from Akwa Ibom are. That's a connection already. They're happening with me and Akwa Ibom as a region. One of my favorite foods to eat, aside after of Nigerian food, is pasta. I love pasta a lot. Now, I don't have to be Italian, but I can tell you that I can get a feel of Italy or the Italians from their food, from their culture, how simple they love their meals. So that's how, in different ways, that food can connect us. And even beyond the connection, you get to learn a lot about the next people, their culture, like I said, their history, their identity. Hello, can you hear me? Sorry.
I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry.
I hope that was
So
not a call.
yes, no. So how we all have people have different types of names they answer. So the food is also an identity. So I'm able to connect with your own identity, which is obviously different from mine, but food being the bonding device and tool. That's how food can connect us with other people, bring people together. What's the second question you asked? Let me speak on that as well. Sorry. So I recall you said it's an informal speaking, right? So we should just relax and have fun. I remember you said that. I can't hear you, Otto. I can't. You may need to unmute yourself. I can't hear you. Otto, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Okay, sorry, please. So you're supposed to take us on
That's
a journey, your personal story, because we see what you do and we
okay.
love it. So we want to know how, if we wanted to do what you're doing, what should we be doing? These restaurants, if we're going to start doing it and then we're successful at it, how do we charge? You can drop figures if you want, So tell us about it, Free. Free of charge.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so let me share my own personal story. I believe everyone has their own story as to how they started their own different journey when it comes to blogging about food and restaurants. So mine comes from a place of curiosity when it comes to food. I like to try different things, having to live outside of home from an early age, and I'm having to stay by myself and maybe school and all of that. Now, I find that I'm not very keen on staying home and having to cook and cook. So I like to go out and explore, meet people through the means as well, and try different types of food, from different regions and all of that. Now, I can say start from a place of passion. That way, you're very authentic to yourself and you're not having to be with someone else. Find your own identity. What is it that you're doing this thing for? what is your why? Why are you doing it? For me, my why is I love food generally. I love to explore. I don't like to, be stuck on a particular kind of meal. I'm very curious. I want to try this meal. I want to know what this meal is about, not just eating what I'm used to. That way I expand my palate and all of that. So you start from a place of passion and you see that it will take you really far. Now, but sometimes you're not really motivated. We all do not wake up every morning feeling like it. But what I do is I try to remember my why. Why am I doing this? And I also love the fact that people come to me to ask me questions like, where can we go to? What do you recommend? All those things put together, they are my why. So even on days when I don't feel like it, and I remember that someone somewhere is relying on me to show them the next place to go to. I get up and I go searching for new places to share. Now, in terms of monetization, it's entirely up to you as an individual, right? Some people do not actually monetize what they're doing. I monetize mine. I would say that probably so, and all thanks to God, of course. I mean, it's a good thing for you to be making money from what you supposedly casually enjoy doing. Now, in terms of monetization, it's entirely up to you, really. You put different things into consideration, the type of brief you have received. For example, you find that a brand may reach out to you. The brand could be a food brand, it could be a restaurant, and they are looking to be identified on your platform. So you receive the brief and find out what the exact deliverables are. What are they looking to do? Now, the primary objective is visibility. We all know that they want to be visible to their target audience, whom they believe are on your platform. So you're able to receive the brief, identify what the specific deliverables are. What are they looking to really, really achieve? So you put all of that into consideration, the time you use in creating the content, your storytelling skill. And let's not forget that over time, when you do this thing, you start to learn things like editing the videos, how to put them together. So you put all of this into consideration. I would say it boils down to you as an individual. What do you want to charge? What is the price tag you're putting on your time, your skill on editing, on delivering the specific objective and deliverable? So while I may not be able to put a price now on this discussion, I would say it's entirely up to the person. What do you want to charge? And you go for it and shoot your shot, as they say. You never know, they could just give you that amount she requested for. That's the one. That's what I would say on monetization. But can you monetize it? Absolutely, yes, you can. You can comfortably monetize food blogging and restaurant blogging. Yes, you can.
Okay, so I was trying really hard to get you to put numbers on it because I had a few people ask that question. So I don't know
No
why you're
way.
shying away from that. I understand it's difficult because most times,
Oh my
even when
God.
you go on social media and then you're checking to see, okay, I want to charge. I have been approached, and then I want to know how much I should charge for it. People usually always want like a starting point. I understand it's difficult to put a figure, because you don't want to overcharge and then they won't come back. And then, or maybe you undercharge and they tell you yes, and you don't really know what the market is. But personally, I always tell people it's better to overcharge than to undercharge. Anyone who really
Yeah,
wants to have
absolutely.
you do what they need you to do, they would come back and negotiate. Now,
Absolutely.
if you tell them a figure and they tell you, okay, that's fine, it means you're undercharged. So maybe take the first few ones, the third time, take it, double it twice or three times and see how that goes. If that still works, take it again and double it. Take it again and double it. So here, what we're talking about is that you can actually monetize everyday living. When Uganze
Absolutely.
started, I recall when Uganze started, you probably started blogging at the same time I started writing
Yes,
about my travel. By the way,
yes,
Uganze too is a lawyer. We're together in law school. That's where we
yes.
met. And then when I started blogging about traveling, Uganze started blogging about, food as well. And it was just her, doing something she was passionate about and then looking for a way to earn money, from it. So thank you very much, Uganze. We love that. Amarachi, I am going to come to you. I am still waiting for Raphael. You notice I was distracted. I was trying to just, ensure that they did the right thing. I have resent the emails to them. I'm hoping that they would come on board. Did someone say something? Amarachi, did you say something?
No.
Okay. Oh, welcome. I can see Enobong is here. Oh, thank you. Finally. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we're here. We'll go over to, well, Enobong, since you're here, you were going to be my number one. So let's hear from you. I don't know if you need time to adjust, but we want to hear from you. Please unmute
I
yourself.
definitely need time to adjust. Yeah,
Okay,
I've been
perfect,
trying
perfect. So
to join
Amarachi will just
for,
go to you
yeah,
and allow me to say a
yeah.
few things, that I wrote down. Now, social media, as we know, often makes, travel look effortless. But you and I, you and I know that the real stories behind the reels. And with you, because we're talking about authentic storytelling, I know if we give you the platform, their stories, it's like me. I had so many things to say that I just had to put it in a book because I really had so many stories that I needed to, talk about. But I'll allow you, talk briefly about what we don't always see on, social media. And of course, we're going to be discussing authentic moments, that you experienced and why, you think people should create content beyond beauty, shorts. Now, I also want you to maybe share a bit of your travel experiences, the unforgettable ones, the ones you don't get to post on the feed. Just give us expo, into that. And let's talk about it just before I make reference. Normally, I like to make reference to a quote here, but with you, I want you to talk about yours and then I'll come back.
Okay. All right. So, hello everyone, and thank you also again for having me on this session. So the way I wanted to approach this topic was to talk about like life behind the scenes. So, as you said, we've seen all the Instagram stories and all the Instagram reels and the beautiful pictures, and those are very nice to see. But there is this thing, Instagram versus reality. So I feel like I want to talk about the planning session that goes behind the scenes so that you don't find yourself in that kind of situation. So for me, I like to take the approach of very rigorous researching. And this is often like, lots and lots of work, like going to read mainly long form content because I do love Instagram and all the all the short form content, but I feel like when I want to plan a trip that's really meaningful, really impactful, I like to go beyond the shorts. So I'm thinking about reading travel blogs, reaching out to, people that I know that have actually had these experiences because, like you said, there are many things that you don't see online that, when you have this physical interaction with another human being who has been on this trip, they can tell you all about it. And how that translates for me is like when I want to go on a trip, I have like an Excel sheet, and then I have like minute by minute planning of what I do or what I want to do. And then along the way, like traveling, my husband introduced me to this book. We read this book together. It's called Vagabonding. And the notion of that book is that you shouldn't approach travel that way, like, a checklist of places you need to see, and 6 o'clock, I need to do this, 7 o'clock, I need to do that. You should basically let your days evolve organically because in this organic moments are where the real life-changing aspects of travel happen. It's when you're walking down the street and, you ask someone for directions, or maybe to their favorite restaurant, and they invite you to their home. And you have this experience that you couldn't have gotten from a travel blog, you couldn't have gotten from a guidebook, you couldn't have gotten from Instagram. And you have like a deeper understanding of the culture of a place just by, deeply immersing yourself and interacting with the locals there. So in the first few trips, oh, sorry, I think. Okay, let me know if you can still hear me, please. Okay, all right. So in the first few trips,
reading that book, I was like, there's no way I'm vagabonding on my trip. Like, I love the idea, but I'm Nigerian. Like before I even start the trip, like there's a lot of issues. I need to apply for visas. I need to, if I'm going to Thailand, I need to get NDLEA, I need to get police certificate before I even apply for visa. Like I'm not going to wing my trip. Like I need to plan. Um, because how many times am I going to go to Thailand? I don't want to come back home and there are certain things that I didn't see. I don't want to go to Paris and not see the Eiffel Tower, for example. But I feel like with more experience and just more just immersing yourself more, I feel like you have to find the perfect balance. It's like a 50-50 balance where you can determine what your must-sees are and still leave space for that organic travel. So for me, like, it's if you look at my Instagram page, for example, you see a lot of content curation. For example, I went to this particular place in Japan because I wanted this particular view of Mount Fuji. But then what you don't see is as we're going to that particular place, maybe there was just a random park that there was, some Japanese people sitting down, just having a good time. And we decided to pivot and go to that place. And it's a completely different experience. Even in some cases, it's much more meaningful. So anyway, just to wrap up this entire spiel, my approach to travel and what I would recommend as a better approach to travel is to do your research so that you don't have an Instagram versus reality moment. So at least you know what to expect, and at least you know where your values are, what you want to see, what you want to do, but also leave enough room for spontaneity because this is where the real, life-changing transformation and the beauty of travel, this is where it actually happens. And sometimes, this is also where you get the best shots for your Instagram because all the Instagram shots, everyone is going there. Like it's already, as they say, it has already been casted. Like everyone is going there. You're going to find a large crowd, and it's the same thing over and over again. But then you have this other moments that are unplanned and just very authentic, very very more transformational travel is what I'm trying to say. So I think that's what I would say. For the other question about the travel moments that don't really make it to Instagram or like to social media, for me it's a culmination of little moments here and there. For example, one time I went to Cairo and I met this lady at the pyramids and she invited me over to her house for lunch, and it was like an Egyptian spread, and I would never have gotten that anywhere else. It's someone opening up their home to you in a foreign land, and it just moves something in you. So it's little moments like that. It's moments where a local takes you to their favorite sunrise spots that you would never have been to, and you guys like share a drink together. It's moments where you're lost and somebody basically leaves what they're doing. They actually have a life and they leave what they're doing and walk you to the destination that you were going to. I mean, this moment, it's just something that's etched in your memory. You can't really capture it. You can't really share it online. But these are the moments that really, transform you, that make you a better person, that make you a better planner, that make you, think on your toes. You're in a foreign country, you've lost your way. What do you do? Like, it gives you even life skills that you don't realize that it's building that in you, and you really can capture this online. And yeah, so beyond the Instagram reels, beyond the beautiful photos, are these moments that really stay with you. So I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Amara. There's one particular story I was hoping you would share, but then I think maybe because it's personal, that's why you don't. But that's something I know.
I mean,
If you know
I
what I'm
said
talking about, then talk about it.
Okay, so I've already shared this story on my blog and online, but so I'll tell it here because I think I know the story you're talking of. So let me start from the beginning of the story because um, it, I'll just zoom out a bit. So when I started traveling, I didn't come from a background of travel, for example. Like I never my first trip out of the country was in my 20s when I started to work. So I had the conception that or the preconceived notion that travel was reserved for certain kinds of people. You have to have, certain income level to be able to travel. But then I got this opportunity and I was able to do it on like a ridiculous budget. So when I came back, I wanted my platform to be that soft introduction for people who are trying to travel but don't know where to start. And how I decided to do that was I decided to take a road trip to Benin Republic. And so the equivalent of I took a 20,000 naira road trip, a 3-day trip to Benin Republic for 20,000 naira. Not even, it was like more like 15,000 naira. And basically, I just wanted to show that it can be done. Like, you don't have to go to the US to say you've traveled. Like, you can go to Benin Republic and you can go for as little as 15,000 naira, and here's how to do it. And in that journey, I set out to, change the narrative of travel. But then I met my husband while doing that. Like again, these are like moments that you can't get in a guidebook. It's just you putting yourself out there and just having this experience that's so transformative. So for me, what happened was with the 15,000 naira budget, I was looking for ways to cut costs. I was using public transport, and then I found an app that allows you that allows like locals or people living in different country host you in their homes. And this I just put myself out there, and in this journey, I was able to meet my future spouse or my current spouse. And yeah, so it's been for me, travel as literally being life changing, like quite literally. I know I've been saying that transformation, life changing, but I'm saying that because I've experienced it. And that was one of the biggest ways that it's changed my life essentially.
Okay, so you said it then. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that story. And no, Bong, I don't know
Yeah.
if you're ready, because if you're ready, I would like to come to you. Please let me know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm happy to have you here. Now, where is my book? Before we get to you, I want to read a passage in, this is it. Girls don't travel just for flowers. So it says, each new encounter enriched her life with diverse perspective and heartfelt stories. She absorbed knowledge not from books or guides, but from the experiences of the people who welcomed her into their lives. With every shared meal, laughter, and moments of vulnerability, she found herself surrounded by a rich mosaic of humanity, making the world feel smaller and more interconnected. Now, this is from Girls Don't Travel Just for Flowers. So I'm going to ask you, what is the role of books? We know how important books are. Now, I do recall when I was writing, when I started traveling, there was a particular travel book I really loved, which was called I think it's called The Alchemist. Till today, I think it's still one of the best travel books, because it really talks about maybe affordable travel and all that. So I know how the book plays a role in deciding, okay, you read about a story, oh, you want to go there. And I've had people tell me, oh my God, I've read the destinations I've read about in your book. I want to go to those places. Oh, I didn't know this was possible. So what, in your opinion, just take us on that journey, the role of book, talk about the role of books in preserving and reimagining cultural narratives, because you're able to learn an entire culture like just reading a book. You can live like the protagonist or whoever you're trying to what image you build in your head. So I'm saying tell us about it. How do females, female readers, females and male, how do they respond differently to travel narratives? And what kind of books, what kind of readers, what are readers craving? What kind of books do people want to read? You own a book club, so what, how, just tell us about that. Take us on that journey, please.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I forgot that my video was not on. My name is Enobong Etuk, and I am a lifestyle bookseller and a book club convener and a festival director. So you've asked too many questions in one question. So I'll try to break it down. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for staying on the call. What is the role of books in preserving culture and reimagining cultural narrative? Is a pivotal role. First of all, if you're a reader, even if you're not a reader, you will hear people talk about destinations from books. I read a lot of books, and it has exposed me and many other readers to destination. For example, long before I went to New York, there were already buildings in my mind and streets I was looking forward to, all because I read them in a book. And it powered my imagination, it strengthened my imaginations to want to visit these locations. And I know that it is the same for so many people. But beyond that, reading books also expands. When you go to destinations, it enables you to see narratives that you should look forward to capture. So when you see such resemblance, you're able to say, oh, I think I need to capture this and that. Reading books also, the value of book helps you to tell a story. I remember way back in 2006, I was pregnant and I was in Dubai. We were in Dubai around the time that they were having their fasting. So most stores, food, outlets were shut down. And when you're a pregnant woman is craving food, a certain kind of food, I couldn't get that. But a family opened their doors. We're waiting for the store to open so we could buy something. And they saw the way I was so uncomfortable. They asked what's the problem. I said I was hungry. They told me to turn to the back of the building, which was actually their office. And they had this spread of all sorts of vegetables and greens, something they were going to use to break their fast. And they're telling me to eat that as food, like, oh, this is sweet. I'm like, what is this? But I wrote a beautiful story out of that. And it really helped people living, it was on my blog. And a lot of people who read that story now know at that time that visiting Dubai at that time of the year and going out to shop, these are the things you should expect. So books also fosters connection when you're traveling. It's now that you see Nigerians hop on a plane and they have a book in their hand. Before, it was not like that. You only find maybe bookstores, airport lounges. You see a lot of white people going to bookstores, check books. But now I see that we are really embracing it. Last year I was in Canada and I saw a lot of African fictions on the shelf. I was really impressed. So books foster connection because you can start knowing someone, like it's like can be an icebreaker. Oh, let me see your book. What is this book about? Where did you get it? Who is the publisher? Why are you in my country? What are you doing? And it can open up a lot of things. Carrying books or buying books when you travel is also really important. People read for different things. People during vacation, you can choose to read to learn. You can also read as an escape. You can also use books for reflection. I heard you talk about The Alchemist is an international bestseller when it comes to re-evaluation of your entire journey in life. That is an all-time bestseller. It's the kind of book I will encourage anyone on this call to take on vacation to read, because it unpacks so many stages of life, of things, of purpose. It asks you so many questions about life that helps you to have clarity. So people read to learn. Those are the kind of books like The Alchemist, Ikigai, that you can take. Woman Evolve, Know Your Worth. Those kind of books can help you to kind of learn about yourself, your journey. But I also see that it is important to go with journals, with devotionals to help you reflect and be in tune with yourself and your purpose. People read fiction to escape and relax. It helps people sleep. It increases some positive hormones and just help them relax normally. Now, you sent me a question ahead saying male and female readers respond differently to narrative. What are my takes on this? Yes, uh, up until recently, most recently, I will talk about Nigerian readers first. Nigerian readers male respond really differently to books. For example, Femi Otedola's book will be released tomorrow officially, and it is an autobiography. Now, all the people that have called the bookstore to make inquiry about this book are males, mostly because it's written by male, and it's more like telling a story about his evolving. But when Chimamanda's book was released, being fiction, it is females that flooded the store, Instagram pages asking for dream count. Rarely did, not that guys did not buy. Some that bought, they bought for their girlfriends, they bought for their mothers. They hardly would buy fiction for themselves, except maybe foreign fiction like Stephen King, those kind of hardcore, maybe John Grisham kind. So people respond really differently. Females tend to go for books that helps them relax, fiction, and really self-help. Yeah. But on a balance, male will be asking for self-help books and autobiographies. That's my take on that.
Yes, I'm going to ask you a question. So now, between males and females, I don't know if this is valid, but who are the people from experience, which group of people buy more books? Is it the women or is it the men?
Chai, that question is her.
It's okay. You don't have.
Females buy more. Females buy more. It's just that one or two males can come in and buy a whole set that will
20.
cover
Oh,
what
correct.
females have bought in 1 week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
females
They have more
definitely buy
purchasing
more.
power. They probably have more purchasing power. That's why.
Yeah.
So if we empower the women more, they'll buy more
Yes.
books. They'll buy more books. Thank you very much. I
Yes.
loved that. Now,
And
Anita is going to
yeah,
go. Okay.
shortly before I go, traveling, opens up. I just wanted to share a personal story. Travel, like the speaker before me said, we have to give room and time, not like a timetable. We should follow the flow of when you travel, we follow the flow of the day. And there are things you can capture in those experiences that can become eternal. I'll share a personal story. In, I think, 2017, I was in Houston during the Katrina. Houston Katrina. There was Hurricane Katrina in Houston that time. And for about 2 weeks, we could not leave the house. But before the hurricane started, they announced it. So I went out with I have 3 boys. I went out with them to Barnes and Noble. We're looking for coloring books, word search puzzles that we can use to engage. My kids were still below 10 years at that time. So I realized as we got to that store, just an epiphany. I didn't see any word search puzzle about Africa or about Nigeria on the shelf. Everything was word search puzzle about India, Paris, Italy, New York, everything up in the world, but not Africa. I just got, an aha moment. Like, why can't I do this? I was on vacation and I have ample time, and we're going to be indoors for 2 weeks. What am I going to be doing with my time apart from Netflix? Anyway, I sat in that 2 weeks and started getting resources, doing research about how to come up with word search puzzles. And I did the research about Nigeria, things, our culture, our identity, our diversities. And in about a year, I published the first word search puzzle about Nigeria. I was featured on Chanel's book club, and between 2017 and today, search puzzle without a book launch, without anything. It was just an aha moment, an experience during vacation. I just found out that there was a gap in Nigeria and I took it. Today, I have the word search puzzle Nigeria volume 1 and 2, and it's sold nationwide. So
Beautiful.
that's part of what I'm saying, that what the lady said, yeah, take advantage of opportunities and don't schedule that you must follow. Just allow yourself to see and enjoy the moment and capture things which can form part of your narrative going forward. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. So we're going to Anita, because Anita will be talking about money. Anita will go last, and how we can make money from this. I know Nobong has thrown more light on how she did that for herself. That was brilliant. Raphael, you are next. But before you do that, I am going to read something. Now, I know I got a few reviews about my book, and I think one thing that stood out was the fact that people think I did not talk so much about Nigeria. Now, the reason why I didn't do that is because I want that to be a separate book on its own, because this was just about Ayanti, leaving her comfort zone and just venturing out. So I was more focused on her making that journey. However, the whole experience, back home, would be a separate book, and it would be a complete book on its own. However, I want to read, one second. I want to read about an experience. Now, people usually ask me, because I've been to, quite some countries, and most times the questions that I get would be, which is your favorite country? It's usually difficult to mention one favorite. At the end of the day, because I've been to a lot, I always just mention a few and then tell people why I really loved, those destinations. Now, one destination I keep talking about is Costa Rica, particularly La Fortuna. Now, the reason why I loved it so much was because it reminded me of home. There's so many ways, when we see something and we can relate, it's usually because it brings up a memory that we appreciate. Now, I'm going to be reading from my book, page 39, and it says, for her, Costa Rica was more than just another destination. It was a journey back to the essence of upbringing, the place where nature, community, and simple joys converged in perfect harmony. Growing up in a small city nestled in lush rainforests in southern Nigeria. Ayanti had developed a deep appreciation for the outdoors from an early age. Her childhood was spent climbing trees, dancing in the rain, bird watching, and playing traditional outdoor games with other children. Costa Rica echoed the landscapes of Ayanti's youth. But it wasn't just the natural beauty that resonated with Ayanti, it was the spirit of communal living and genuine human connection that she sought out wherever she traveled. In Costa Rica, she discovered the kind of warmth and hospitality reminiscent of her hometown. Raphael, we went through your CV and, your profile in this case, and we noticed that one of the things I think you promote is tourism in Nigeria. And then the spotlight here would be Ayanti's hometown, which is, in Akwa Ibom State. Now, so the spotlight for today is Akwa Ibom. Of course, for other sessions, we would spotlight other states within the Federation. But for you, traveling deeper within our own country, because it feels like we don't talk about, yes, I know there are people who talk about it, but personally, I'm probably guilty about it. It feels like we don't talk about home enough. No matter how much I do, I still feel like there's more room to showcase what we have and, encourage people to come. Yes, I know we have to do more to get to the point where people want to come, but I'm saying we can start talking about it, to encourage people to come home. Because let's say tourism is very important in, it generates revenue for the country. Imagine someone we save in Nigeria, we save for a year or 6 months to take our money and go to another country and spend it. Imagine that someone was doing the same, for us. People save all year just to come to Nigeria and spend that money. You would find that it would improve our economy. So with you, we're talking about traveling deeper within our country. We want you to, let's say, explore underrepresented, travel experiences in Nigeria, and then spotlight a few places that you think we should be focusing on when it has to do with tourism in Nigeria. Over to you, Raphael.
Okay, Professor, thank you very much.
Okay, so you need to mute 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. Don't worry.
Okay, please go ahead.
I've done that. Go ahead, please.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so thank you again for having me. Eventually, I was able to figure my way out to join this part as a panelist. And I must say, I've learned quite a lot already just listening to the people that spoke before me. And including, let me also say here and place it on record, that on behalf of all the men that go to bulldoze, we have been told now that we don't spend enough. So the few of us that even go are going to stay back. And I hope your number is still there. Okay, that's fine. That's by the way. That's by the way. I think if you also do not mind, I'd also like to throw in a perspective about reading and travel from a personal point of view before I come to talk about the travel experiences within Nigeria, which you asked me about. The very first time I went to the UK, believe it or not, I went as a tour guide, but it was my first visit. We had a group trip planned to go to the UK or go to London for the Olympics in 2012. It was going to be my first visit to London. And of course, there was a frequent traveler, someone who knew the UK like the back of his hand, who was supposed to be on the trip. Were 9 of us. And then at the last minute, something came up and the gentleman couldn't come. And I found myself leading a team of 7 other people, first timers in the UK. All of them looking up to me to take them around a place I'd never quite been to before. So all of the knowledge I had acquired from books, reading about these places, kind of came in very handy in helping me. Of course, I had about 48 hours to update my knowledge of the UK as it was at the time. And the way they related with me and the questions they asked me, the times I felt like telling them, hey guys, slow down. It's also my first time here, because they were also really talking to me as if I was somebody who was regular on that trip. But I think it was an eye opener, and it showed how much reading, how much books could play a role. Now coming back home, yes, you've spoken a lot about Nigerians and travel and our tourism and our aptitude for traveling out rather than staying in. I think it goes beyond tourism. I think it's a general Nigerian thing for us to tend to appreciate that which comes from outside more. I don't know if I want to call it a see finish mentality. I don't know if it is something we want to say a good number of people do not know how much there is to see in Nigeria. It could be a combination of those factors because there are really some nice, beautiful things. There are really some nice, beautiful places for people to see, especially nowadays where traveling abroad for a number of people due to economic reasons is not quite as easy for very many people as it used to be. Everyone knows what the exchange rate and all of the associated issues are. You would expect that there is a better appreciation of some of the destinations, some of the experiences that are in country. I live and work in Akwa Ibom, but I've had the privilege of moving around a few places. And barring a number of other factors, majorly security issues, barring issues of being able to commute from one place to another on roads that one would want to say are relatively motorable. They are beautiful places. They're beautiful places. Akwa Ibom, for instance, where I live, where I work, has a good number of people already know this. Libya Beach, for instance, the longest shoreline in Africa, West Africa, 129 kilometers of sheer aquatic splendor. But then, if you look at people who come here, and I've interacted with people over the past 2 years, where I've been holding a role where part of my job is helping to promote the good and the great about Akwa Ibom. There are very many people in Nigeria who have never heard of that place. A few years ago, there used to be quite a lot of traffic towards Cross River State, a combination of factors. What was then called the Budukato Ranch, and then, of course, the end of year carnival. A lot more people went for the carnival. But there was anyone who had the opportunity of going to Obudu and all of the experiences that were created there, especially during the period when Donald Duke was governor, leading up to Leo Limoke's time, would say that they had a fulfilling experience for somebody who would want to appreciate the beauty and the potential that were there. There are other places also. I have not had the privilege of being to the Mambila Plateau, but there are people who speak so well about it. But then I also have been to Agungu somewhere in Kebbi State for the Agungu Fishing Festival. The appeal seems to have petered out over the years, but I went there some 12 years ago. And in all honesty, it was very interesting to find that there were a number of people who came from other countries close to the northern border of Nigeria with Niger and with Chad and as far away as Mali for that fishing festival. Yes, they may be Africans, and sometimes we do not regard fellow Africans who come into the country the way we would regard those who come maybe from the West for similar experiences. But it attracted quite a number of people. So yes, there's a whole lot to see, but like I said, there are usually a number of factors that make Nigerians sometimes forget that what they go to look for outside, it may not be a similar experience, but there's still a lot to see in country. But there are issues of we not appreciating it. There are issues of maybe there's not quite enough promotion. There are issues also of being able to maintain and sustain a good number of this. Currently in Akwa Ibom State, part of what you sent to me was how do we preserve these locations that people want to see. The amalgamation of Nigeria in 1914 took place in a building in Ikorabasi, some maybe 1.5 hours drive from where I'm currently seated. And now that building has over the years seen quite a lot of wear and tear. Ikorabasi was also the home to, was also the place where the 1929 women riots, which was wrongly credited over the years to Aba. They called it Aba Women's Riot. But the simple reason was because at that time, Ikorabasi was in Aba province, as it was then, took place. So there are a number of things. The bridge of no return is there. But over the years, these places seem to have lost its appeal due to a number of factors. We're currently trying to see how we can restore them before you now begin to see how you can promote them. That's currently ongoing in Akwa Ibom, because you do not want to see somebody coming to a building, you tell the person this is where the amalgamation of Nigeria took place. These are some of the artifacts that belong to the people who were here, the Lord Lugats and the Flora Shores. And someone is showing you a plastic seat that was made somewhere not far away, and and tells you that's the seat where Lord Lugard used to sit. And you know that at that time, 1914, that seat was not there. So we're trying to see how we can recreate it and bring it as close as possible to its original form, so that it doesn't lose its authenticity, it does not lose its appeal. There are too many things that are a major challenge, but then I'm hoping that with engagement such as this, I'm hoping with a whole lot more enlightenment, we'll be able to also get people to understand. It is also important to have the buy-in of locals. It is very important. There's a place called the Blue River here in Akwa Ibom State. The river actually is blue. I've had the privilege of going there. The villagers have been there for a very long time. They did not realize how much of a gem they had just in their backyard. When someone, found it and put it out there a few years ago, and people started going, the first reaction of the villagers was antagonizing the guests who came there. They didn't quite appreciate and understand the potential of that place if they were to understand that this place was going to attract tourists, and then with tourism, it was one way or the other going to maybe create jobs, affect positively the local economy. So we had a number of people who had rather unpalatable stories to tell in their attempt to go and see this Blue River which none of them had seen before. It took quite a lot of work to convince the people in the host community that this is something that you need to also key in. This is an experience that I know some people have had in other places. So on the whole, I think there needs to be a greater appreciation amongst the people here in Nigeria of the potentials that these tourist locations, the potential that these experiences has got in job creation, in contributing to the development of the economy, and all of the other associated benefits that could come from it. We're doing the best we can here in the States, and we're hoping that there are factors that are going to be, because some factors are completely outside your control. A typical example, we've had instances where for security reasons, people could not do one thing or the other. There are people who would love to, I personally love to drive. If I had my way, I would want to maybe be driving around some of the states around here, but anybody who knows you would advise you against that for reasons which are too well obvious for all of us here. If some of these issues that are external to us, as it were, are mitigated, are controlled, are handled, and there is a deliberate attempt to see how much we can improve the tourist potential, how much we can contribute to telling a Nigerian story in such a way that first we appreciate it, because if we do not appreciate it, we do not become the purveyors of the good news. It is when we appreciate it that we now have the impetus to want to preserve it, and then it is that time that we'll now be able to see how we can welcome those who want to come see it. And I believe that the explosion in the potential of tourism in this country, at that time we can begin to have a serious conversation about it. For now, I am not too sure that we have done so well. I'm hoping that going forward, we'll be able to do much, much better. Is there a lot to see within the country? Yes. Is there a level of appreciation we would expect that there should be? I'm not so sure. Are there factors that are responsible for people not wanting to explore some of these hidden gems in the country? Of course, too very well done for us to repeat here. And hopefully these factors are mitigated, and then we'll see how we can make the best out of these opportunities.
Thank you, Raphael. A few things I noted when you were talking about Ibona Beach. I do recall when we were young, because I grew up in Akwa Ibom. I schooled in Akwa Ibom and I grew up there. I recall Ibona Beach used to be, it was the closest thing to a beach, it was the only beach we had there. And then I remember at the end of the year, every end of the year, they used to have this event. I think it was on Boxing Day, and everyone used to go there. It was where everyone wanted to go. Even at the time, our parents never really used to let us want to go. But when we grew older, we wanted to go there with our friends because it was nice. In recent years, I don't know if that still happens, but I know it's a beautiful place. It's the same location where you have where you used to have Mobile, now Seplat, just by the shore. So it was very nice, and it was where people wanted to spend, most of their, most of the festive period. So that's a place, like you said, I know if you visit Akwa Ibom, it's a place I think you should explore. You talked about the Blue River. I think you called it the Blue River. And the reason why I smiled was because when I was in Senegal, I went to a place called the Pink Lake. Now, everyone was talking about the Pink Lake, even though when I went, it wasn't pink. And I think it had to do with overflooding. They said it wasn't pink for a while. It doesn't stay pink all year. I think it's maybe I think they said it's between March and April. I went there about April and it wasn't pink. And they said it had not been pink in a long time. Now, they harvest salt just around, the river, and then it's a combination of, let's say, some bacteria and sunlight that just makes it turn pink, at a certain time of the year. And you know what it is? Tourists actually flock there to go take a picture by the Pink Lake. That is all there is. We just go there. It is they have a beach, access, and we just stay there to take pictures because it is pink. So when you say we have this in Akwa Ibom and then you have the community who do not understand the value of what they have, there in Senegal, I think there was an access point where you had to pay to be able to access. So I'm saying that these are things that we can use to promote, tourism back home. Abroad, they do it better because they understand that, look, this is not man-made. God gave this to us. We can actually benefit, from this. So I thought I should mention that Pink Lake. The only thing you do there is take pictures, and then you have maybe the locals kind of designed a place where they put like flowers, they put like colorful boats. So you just come there and sit down and take pictures. The only thing I drove 1 hour, 30 minutes, I think, from Dakar just to go and take a picture. That's what I did. So I'm saying if we promote tourism, we would find people, traveling far for, things that you may consider mundane. So, that's what tourism is. Now,
Yeah,
Anita, oh,
oh wow,
go
okay.
ahead, please. No, go ahead, please. Wrap
Okay,
it
I
up.
just wanted to say yes, and I agree with you 100%. And I spoke about the fact that there's an ongoing engagement, especially about the Blue River. There was an access problem, so currently the state government is constructing a road to lead to the Blue River, because over time the road had it was a narrow dirt road leading there. There's a major engagement now. Members of the community are on board. The process is ongoing to get them to understand that this has got this level of potential. So hopefully, maybe when next you need to take pictures, since you already have taken the ones at the Pink Lake, which wasn't even pink when you went there, maybe by the time you come this way, the Blue River will be ready for you to take pictures and do a whole lot more. Yeah.
Now, beautiful. Like I always I just wanted to mention that I'm going to be having a book signing. I'm working with Enobong Bulldoze on this in December. So, like I tell people, anyone who wants to explore, like my friends always know I remember last year I spent some time back home with a few friends who were visiting Kwaiban for the first time. And trust me, they loved it. I had one person who was in Nigeria and describing Nigeria as that country because she did not think she was still in Nigeria. She was in Kwaiban, and then she was saying, that country. I'm like, wait, which one is that country? You're actually this is Nigeria. She was really impressed. I'm telling you, it's laid back, it is beautiful, it is green. So we're having a book signing event in December. I'm going to be there. If you want to come, I'm happy to host you. You just need to ring me up, because we're going to spend time there. So if you want to, be part of it, if you want to come and see all these good things, to be sure we're not lying, you can just hit me up. I can make that happen, because I'm going to be around at the time. Now, like I said, we're having a book signing in December with Bulldoze, and I believe that would be the 27th of December. But I would confirm that. Now, Anita, over to you. Now, growing, an authentic brand that supports culture and book, that's what we're talking about. And we're talking about how creatives, particularly authors, brands, can build online spaces that grow organically and also feel true to their message. Now, I know one of the things people experience when, trying to put market something, because once you start selling something, that's when you know that that's when you know you are not all that. It's difficult to sell, it's difficult to sell, you to push. So how can, the average person do this without burnout? That's, what we want to talk about, because it's easy to say, do this, and then you do the first one, the second, by the third time, you're like, look, I can't, handle this. I want you to take us, simplify it, simplify it for us. And we want to be able to learn how to do that, just with our phone. I know you've been doing this for so long. Anita was instrumental, to my starting a travel blog. She's been doing this for, like I said, for a long time. My blog, as at this year, I think it's about 10 years. So I'm telling you, Anita has been doing it for that long. And trust me, she has a wealth of experience in this thing. She was, so I just wanted to simplify that process, how we can do it organically without burning out. Simple ways, that we can turn this whole passion, into something that we can profit from. Because when I started writing, yes, I was passionate about it. I was writing, but sooner or later, I'm like, how do I turn this into income? Passive income, because we understand in Nigeria today, you can't rely on one source of income. You have to create a stream where you are sleeping and your money is making money for you. And that's what we're calling passive income, where you work today and then that thing keeps generating money for years to come. It's like YouTube, YouTube, yes, would pay you for creating content, and putting it out there. You realize that the videos that will make you money next year is the one you posted today. The one I'm profiting from today is the one I posted in 2021. So, Anita, we want you to explain this in very simple ways that we can understand.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anita. Thanks for having me on this panel, Otto. Otto is a longtime friend. We went to Benedion together. And we went to Madonna together. So yes, and build our relationship, and our friendship has grown till today and still growing. I'm an online business coach and digital marketing entrepreneur. And I also teach people basically how to do what I do. And so in this context of, how do you build wealth, or how do you build, or how about earning money, from doing what you love, basically, is first of all, find, your why. Why are you doing this? We all have what pushes us, and that's what wakes you up every morning. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't have what's going to drive you to do something, then motivation can only take you so far. You need something that drives you in the morning, that every day, it's just like we wake up when we have a job, and then at the end of the month, we're going to have a salary. So with social media, with the internet, using the internet tools, we want to find out, what are we good at? What skills do we have? What do we want to share? What do we love? I mean, if we love books, we can share about books. Love, food, we share about food, just like Uganze was talking about. So it's about building community and building, trust based on what you love and what you are sharing. And how do you do this without burnout? It's about, planning ahead of time, preparing, yourself and preparing your content ahead of, so that, worrying in the minute every time you want to make a post. Like when Otto started blogging, she didn't really think, much of it. But then with much encouragement and everything, it was easy for her. She started getting recognition for being consistent. So if you're not consistent, and consistent every day, it's about just being yourself, and finding a routine that works for you, a schedule that works for you. Because if you're thinking, okay, because they say I have to post, 5 times a day, you could easily burn out with that kind of schedule, especially if it's not something that you're used to doing. But let's say if you're comfortable with posting once a day at 10 a.m. every day, to get used to the fact that you come up, or your content is going to come up at 10 a.m. every day, and they're going to connect with you and based on what it is you're posting, the stories you're telling, the kind of photography you're sharing, and what it is that you're saying in your captions, and also with your search engine optimization. Because right now, with social media, if you're not optimizing your content, actions going to be very limited. So we have to put all this into consideration. Whatever it is that you love to do. I make I started running a fashion page that's based on my own personal story. I run a fashion page. It's called Fashion Africana. It has over 500,000 followers. And Fashion Africana also on TikTok, 50,000. Fashion Africana on what's it called? Facebook, is also doing over, I think it's over 10,000. A group in that same niche has over 100,000 members in the fashion group. So this is built over 5 years or more than 5 years. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen, just was consistency, making mistakes. Even till now, we still make mistakes because the algorithm, things are getting new, the content you used to post before, they are flagging down on that content because, excuse me, because you can't just repost what you see on the internet anymore. So now there's more, emphasis on unique and original content. So out there, just being you. You want to take, it's just like everybody now. Let's say you're going on a date or you're going out with your friends and everyone is taking photos of their food, that's Otto's specialty. She has to make sure that she takes photos of the food and everything. And that's also because this is her industry and it's definitely something that relates with her own content and, her audience. So she has to find what makes you, what makes you unique and what drives you every day, and just make sure that you're consistent. And so I know as a coach, it's easy to tell people, be consistent, but how do you do this? It's by batch creating content and giving yourself a schedule. So if it's 30 posts you want to do a month, okay, say I'm going to post 1 post every day for 30 days. If it's, 20 posts you want to post, 3 posts a week, every week. You just have to be consistent and show up using all the tools that are available to you. Because if it's Instagram you're using Instagram like a photo board. You want to show up not just on the feed, you want to show up on the reels to drag in a wide audience, because the reach is more when you're using reels. Then you want to show up on the stories, make you relatable. It shows you behind the scenes where you can actually connect with your audience and build trust. I mean, you need to increase your know, like, and trust factor. And that's what happens in the stories. So you need to just keep showing, like, let's say, for example, Otto is writing a book, for example, and then she's, what she needs to do is, people along on the journey while she's trying to choose the cover of the book or maybe the title of the book. She's getting her audience involved in trying to choose and select the title of the book with her. And then, it brings engagement and makes you feel included, in the community, it just builds community. So you want to use all the tools that are available to you. Also, social media doesn't belong to you. You must find a way to build your own list. It feels like it's a little bit too much, but you need to check all of this all together as a wholesome package. You need to build your own list. For example, if social media shuts down tomorrow, how are you going to communicate with your audience to just get them stay connected with? For you to do this is, if you have an email list, which you can do with newsletters. You're giving a newsletter once a week. You're connecting with your audience once a week, every week, or once a month, depending on what kind of content or what kind of product it is that you're selling. You just want to keep that connection going, because in the emails, it's a little bit more personal. It's not like one-on-one. Most times with the email providers you use, they're using first name basis. So when somebody reads a mail and it says, "Hi, Otto," or "Hi, Anita," it feels more personal to you, like they're talking to you, and that email could just come in at the time you needed it the most, based on your niche and based on the type of audience that you're building. So in long story short, it's about knowing what you stand for, knowing your why, what's getting you up every day to post on social media. And then also learning, you need to learn about the monetization opportunities open to you when you're using social media to build an audience or to make money from your effort. What do you want to sell? What type of products do you want to sell? When you're on social media, I sell physical and digital products, but then when you have to that when you're on social media, you can sell physical products, you can sell digital products, and you can also sell services. So, I'm sure Otto can, she does, what's it called? She does consulting visa applicants or people who are interested in applying for visa and just want to learn more how to make the best of the opportunity or the chance they have. So that's consulting, and she's exposed herself because she's on social media and she's putting herself out there. She's on YouTube. She's using the platforms that are available to her. They are free at the end of the day. And if you choose your platforms right, try not to overdo yourself. Choose platforms like maybe 2, 3 max. And go on the platforms that actually would maximize your time and your effort, For example, if you're on YouTube, you know that it's a long-term game when you're on YouTube. You're not thinking short-term satisfaction. Although YouTube Shorts has given you that short-term high with just get quick views from your shorts. But you always have to think about long-term because that's how you make money on YouTube. You bring in the audience from shorts and you make the money from your long content. All right. Then you're thinking about TikTok. TikTok is amazing now. Like, there's so many monetization opportunities on TikTok. So, what happens when you have built an audience? I mean, you're not going to start making money if you're not consistent, if you can't stay with the program to build an audience. So you must build an audience before you're going to be able to open up your page or your socials to monetization opportunities. So monetization opportunities on TikTok are very vast. Even if you're in Nigeria, you can make money from TikTok Live, TikTok subscriptions. Like I was telling Otto the other day that she should start offering subscriptions on her TikTok, because you will always have, when you have value to offer, people are going to want to pay you for that. And obviously you're not going online to think I want to make money. You're first thinking I want to give value. I want to share the knowledge I have. I want to, reach out to people for the kind of knowledge I have to offer and give them, the best of myself, really, in terms of this niche. But then money flows where there's value, So even people will even offer you find out that when I've been online and I see, where people are having just a live stream where they're just talking, they're not selling anything. And then people are calling them and saying, how do I pay more coaching? Like, they're just calling them and asking them right there on the live stream, how do I pay you? The person is not selling anything, but because she's already offering value, somebody wants to talk to her one-on-one, in person. And the person already knows that there's a price tag attached to that, and she's already right out there offering to make it. So if you're not ready to receive, that's another thing. So with socials, you must be ready. It's a work in progress. So you start small, you keep growing, and then you learn along the way. And the beauty about it is that you can earn and learn at the same time. So I hope that has helped or answered your question. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Anita. I know it's always, you always provide value whenever we talk about monetization. Now, I like to keep my promise. I promised I was going to keep this under 90 minutes. I've enjoyed the session and I'm happy to do it again some other time. I just one final word, from each and every person, I cannot find a number, but then we're wrapping this up really soon, but just because I want people to know us a bit more, what is one personal story? Well, not personal, because I don't subscribe to people sharing their private moments. If you don't want to share anything private to you, don't want to share out there, you don't have to. But what is one story that, very few people know and you're willing to share with us today? Now, of course, the story has to be authentic. It has to do with an experience, either when you were traveling or either when you were exploring, visiting Nigeria. It could be positive. It could also be negative. But what's one story that you think? I know when she talked about how, travel changed, talked about how travel changed. Her life was life-changing. So for each and every one of us, I just want us to drop, just that one story. I'm going to start with you, Ganzi, because you're top on my left. So we're going to start with you. What's one story you want to share with everyone? Like, okay, this particular story kind of changed the way I saw this thing this way. This particular experience I had changed the way that I saw things in a certain kind of way. We want to know you, through that storytelling aspect. So can you just take a moment? And the rest of you think about it. I'm sorry, Uganzi, you had to be first, but everyone else think of something that you want to tell us. Uganzi, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, so I was saying, thankfully to God, I'm alive and I've lived for quite a number of years. And so I've had different experiences in life. I've had a lot that have actually stood out for me. I would say one of the many would be, since I wasn't given a lot of time to think out one exactly, I would say just knowing that I can make something out of just having to just explore restaurants. That's really changed a lot for me. I did not think that something like that would ever become a thing, where people come to you because they see that you provide value. for what seemingly doesn't look like it's a lot of things that you're doing. Do you understand? I remember the first time that someone approached me, a brand actually, saying that they see me and they hear and they want me to do something for them. I was shocked. I didn't think that such a thing was even possible. I mean, this was me thinking I was just living my life, being myself, going around exploring with food and restaurants, and not knowing that people were actually appreciating what I was doing. And, so for me, that was like a wake up call for me to say, there's actually something here. And it was also to say that there's a lot of things we do in life and we do not realize how they make an impact both on our lives and other people as well. And we make this mistake in life to always think that the big things are things like, I mean, I'm a lawyer. We met in law school, like you said, Otobon. I didn't think that things like this, like coming on social media, telling stories, having to explore, would one day become a thing. So for me, when I had my first experience where a brand reached out to me saying they wanted me to come on board, or even when I had my first speaking engagement, when others came by, I just couldn't believe that that was happening. So that was one of the things that was a wake up thing for me on my journey when I in running your food gig as a brand. So I would say that really changed my perspective about certain things, if not a lot of things. I would have been thinking that, oh, I have to always practice law, I have to be serious, I have to go to court, I have to do all those things. But hey, I'm not putting that down, but just to say there's a whole lot to life than, growing up, our parents wanted us to be doctors, engineers, lawyers. We're all of that, no doubt. But there's a whole
More.
lot to life than all of that. So my point is we can do a whole lot more. And the things that look like they're nothing, they're actually something. I mean, who would have thought that something like social media will be shaping the world now? Like everybody wants to do something and they want to be on social media. People are telling stories just from the comfort of their houses. They don't have to go and even rent a store or pay for one big building. Or, you understand? So who would have thought a time like this will come and we're all having to be alive to witness it? So for me, it's reshaped my thinking, how I started to see life, even things generally when it comes to career, when it comes to making money, like think about having streams of income. Who would have thought that we're making money from just doing things that we love to do? So for me, that's it for me, amongst other things, of course. But this is one I would like to share.
Brilliant.
Right. Yeah.
Marchi, I'm sorry I'm coming back.
No worries.
But I want to hear.
I think okay, so I think for me was the moment when I did my first trip out of the country. Like I said, I didn't grow up with the background of, I mean, my parents traveled within Nigeria and we traveled with them, but we never went out of the country. And I remember taking that first trip and just thinking about like how like massive it was and how much I needed to spend. And then I read a travel blog and it was talking about hostels and it was talking about like, public transportation. And it just demystified travel for me in such a way that basically changed my life. Because when I came back from that trip, I started my travel blog. And then I did the trip to Benin Republic. I met my husband. And it's just like, what they call a butterfly effect? Like just one thing or like a dominoes effect. One thing happened and it's just like shaped the entire course of your life. So I think for me, that was that moment when I realized that the perception I had of travel was not correct. And it took like other travel bloggers to show that to me. So I wanted to, be that person that showed that to others as well in Nigeria. So that's my story.
Beautiful. Anita, I can't see you, but I know you can hear me. Okay, so while we wait for Anita, Raphael, can you take over, please? You need to unmute yourself, Raphael. You're talking to yourself.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. For some reason, I was hoping you were going to forget, and this was going
No.
to be an all girls. This was going to be an all girls thing. I think for me, it's been a combination of both. Ganze's story and Amarachi's. Apparently, what I can figure out from here, I'm about the only person who is not making money from social media. So I don't know when next Anita is running her classes, or if there's going to be some kind of a master class, so that I've been on social media all my life, and people are making money off it. But back to this, I'm an MC in the master ceremonies. I did set out to do that, which is why I said I can relate a little bit to what Uganza said. And in all honesty, when I got my first big pay for just talking, the same talk every other person around me was talking and no one was getting paid, it kind of opened my eyes and I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. It is not something, I think for now, people can aspire to be masters of ceremonies. But back some maybe 20 years ago, that wasn't an aspiration a lot of people of my generation had. You just did something you liked doing. And then you found that people were going to be willing to pay you. There's a place in New York called Oliver Twist. And it's an eatery. It's called Oliver Twist. And they were having some anniversary thing. And I was friends with I was on television every day then. I was friends with someone there, and they called me to come do this. And good old days where everyone who knew you had a little bit of talent talking wanted you to come and talk for free. And so I went. Of course, since it was an eatery, it wasn't going to be completely free. At least I'll get food at the end of it if I don't get anything else. There's no way you would go MC an event at an eatery and go back home hungry. At least I was very sure of that. And there was this lady who came for the event, who took my number after the event, and then called me and said, oh, she has an event in Warri. Would I be disposed to come in? And how much do I charge? And until then, I had never charged anyone for emceeing. I only got some of my friends, you did a good job. And some of them remember, I said, oh, boy, just you can pay your way back home. And this was someone asking me, how much do you charge? And I didn't know what to tell her. Going back to what you said earlier, are you going to more or less underprice yourself? Are you going to price yourself out of the market? Long and short of it, I went for that gig and I was paid an amount of money I had never made at a go in my entire life. I had not even made 10% of that at a go prior to that. And then I realized that, okay, this was something that one could, do something with. And then like they say, the rest is history. So that realization, that particular story, I never forget that event. I never forget. Beyond even the amount of money I was paid, at the end of the event, everyone was so happy. So they were spraying the couple, they were spraying the people who were having an event. It was it's silver jubilee of a wedding. And then for some reason, maybe they liked my face or they liked what I did. They also started spraying me. So the spray was going both ways. So beyond the experience, beyond the amount of money I was paid, I got decent amount of money from something I was just doing almost as a pastime. So it now made me think, okay, this was something you could take a little bit more seriously. So I paid more attention to it. I invested a little bit more in it. And my account officer is not here, but I think from that job, there's a whole lot I can look back and say I'm very happy with. So that was it for me. That realization that this is something that could work. This is something that could actually make you go very, very far. It's an experience I always relate to one way or the other.
Thank you very much. So Victory raised his or her hand. Victory, do you have something to say? You have 1 minute, please.
Yes, Ma. Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Victory, and I would like to say thank you first to you for organizing this. Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Amarachi, because I was listening to you just talk about your travel, and I've always wanted to travel. And I keep telling myself that I have to save up for so long, have a lot of money to be able to travel because I'm a student. Thank you so much. This has been insightful. Really from to all of you. Then, Mr. Raphael, please. And just to add, I saw this from your Instagram. I am following you for the longest time to register. I know this, and I know you're a master of ceremonies. And I am actually also train in the field, I would like to be a master of ceremony. So I just want to request, I don't know if it's possible, like
Your
to
audio
learn
is
from
very
you, and I know
poor.
you're very busy. So I was really, if you can take to your audio. Hello, Ma. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Well, your audio is poor, but we're struggling.
Hello? Is it better now?
Yes, please.
Okay. I don't know. I've said a lot of things. Oh my God. I thought everybody was hearing. Okay, so Mr. Raphael, I was saying something. Please, I would like to make a request. I know this is like totally out of this, and I know you're a master of ceremonies, and I am aspiring to be like you. I look up to you. I'm in Akwa Ibom, Uyo, and I would just like to request if I can be your mentee. I know you do not have time to teach people or anything, but I just really want to attend event you're anchoring so I can watch you. So I don't know how that would be possible. I could be a PA, I could hold your back for free, just anything. I just want to come watch you. And I know
Victory.
most of
Now,
your
I
events.
know Raphael usually has, one second, please. I know Raphael usually has, like, I don't know if he has stopped doing it, but I think I saw it a few times on social media where he had like events where he used to train. It was a free event, I think. He used to post about it. Either it was once a month or twice a month. He used to have events where he used to educate people, mostly people who want to go into public speaking. So if you find him on Facebook, or maybe he can talk about it. Why am I talking, Raphael, please.
Okay, I was just going to ask you. It looks like Raphael is here. I want to give you two times and say,
Exactly.
yeah.
But because I'm trying to wrap up, that's why.
Sure.
Yeah.
Victor, maybe you could just get in touch on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Since you've been following me for as long as you said, that means you should know how to get across to me on those platforms. I used to run corporate clinics since 2015. I took a break. I had too much I was doing, but I intend to restart it. But there's no bag for you to hold. I don't need a PA. But when we restart corporate clinic, we can see how to do that. But I will not restart corporate clinic until I've learned how to make money from it. So you want to learn from me. I want to learn from Anita. Anita is a close friend. So yeah, one way or the other, we'll eventually be all right. So get in touch on social media, Victory. And I hope we could get to do something.
Thank you. So Anita, you're the last person. We're going to go back to you. So tell us that one. You need to unmute yourself, please. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, so it's not exactly related to travel because I've not really been many places. But I guess let me just tell a story about my experience working online, and I guess a couple of months where it was a case of wow, I can actually make money from sitting in my house and I don't have to talk to anybody, So at the initial stage when I first started, I started making money from writing articles. I'm obviously I'm a lawyer, so writing was something that came naturally. Well, after much practice, I would say it was natural. But then writing is something that we do a lot of, and so writing was something that was okay. Put some words together, write a review, write all that, and I started earning. I joined a site like Fiverr.com. I don't know if you've heard about it, but then I made my first $5 online. And I was crazy. I kind of like went crazy with the fact that it was possible, to be in Nigeria and earn dollars. And that was like way back, it's over 15 years ago, to be honest. And then, there was a time where I started on the same Fiverr. I was learning so many things and learning all the things I could offer by seeing what other people were offering. Because Fiverr 2 was new at the time, and you could only offer services for $5 on Fiverr. They hadn't started, making it more options. So, I learned how to do video creation as well, some simple video editing. And I saw a lady, on Fiverr there, you could make an offer, you could write what you could do, and then people will connect with you and pay for your services. And so this lady who owns a school, connected with me and said that, videos, ABC training videos for the little kids. And it was a moment where it was like, okay, after the first video, the second video, she now said, okay, connect with me off of Fiverr. Let's work one-on-one instead of still working on the platform. Because when you get paid $5, Fiverr takes $1 from the money and pays you $4. So the woman got in touch with me and paid me $150 for a bunch of, simple videos. I used an app at the time to create. So at the time, I was just out of school, finished service, just gone back to Calabar to live with my dad, and it was just it was just crazy, like $150 just sitting at home. At that time, we were doing things like making sure that your computer is connected to the power source so that it doesn't go off. Because if the power goes, if the battery dies or something, you always have to be permanently connected to the internet. To the power source. It was just crazy. And then another breakthrough moment was I joined a group called a forum. It's called Warrior Forum. So I joined that forum and I made an offer. And the offer was a video creation service as well. After I learned I took what I learned from Fiverr and applied it to the group. And I made $500 in the case of 3 hours. The sales came because the sales just kept coming in and I didn't believe it was going to happen, and that was what happened. But it came in, I kept coming in and I just kept running around my house and screaming, I was making, it was a $15 a pop for a video. I didn't even know what I was offering at the time. It was just my first time and I was just happy. I'd done all the things, in Nigeria, you cannot have PayPal, you cannot have this, you cannot have that. But I had gotten around all those things because, I was like, you mean you can actually make money online and you don't have to show your face, you don't have to go to office. So that's what I was thinking about, And so that was good. And then when I made my first $1,000 was for a one-on-one coaching. That was when, that was for a first time one-on-one coaching, 4 weeks, 4 lessons. I made $1,000 on that coaching it was a lady I met on this platform called Clubhouse. And so when Clubhouse came up, everybody rushed in there and, it was just crazy. And next thing I know, I'm having a customer who's coming to my Instagram and connecting with me and I'm doing a 1-month package for her. And it's $1,000 straight into my bank account without me thinking too much or having to talk too much. And I'm just chatting like now with you, with the lady for just 4 lessons and I get $1,000. So it's just that, I just learned that online, anything is possible, really. You put yourself out there, you never know who is looking for your talent and who's looking for your skill, who's looking for your uniqueness, because it's about you, it's about how people connect with you, and it's about also you being yourself. Because as vulnerable as you can be on the internet, not obviously you don't want to tell your life story, obviously learn to keep things private, but there's just that part of your life you can share that makes you connect with an audience that's looking for a similar path or trying to get out of a similar situation or something, and you can turn that into a product. So you can turn that into an ebook. You can turn that into a template. So Otto, I keep using Otto because I've been with her. We've been on this journey for a long time. So let's say, for example, Otto could sell like a travel guide or like a travel checklist or something, or things you shouldn't forget. She can have an email series or things you shouldn't forget when you're traveling to Croatia, or something. You can have something out there that people pay you money for. Your skills matter. Your knowledge and experience can be turned into a book, just like, just like this bad boy over here. So it's all about, putting yourself out there and, just telling your story and being proud of your journey, because obviously how I put it, you're not where you used to be. I'm sure at the beginning you were praying for this breakthrough and you can't believe you're actually living the breakthrough that you were praying for. So that's the thing that we never really notice, because we are in the moment and we keep forgetting that, 2 years ago you weren't here. So it's about learning. One thing with the internet, things change all the time. On social media, things are changing. The platform is also getting new. There's new AI and all that kind of stuff, but it's making things probably even harder for you to make it like people used to make it before. So you have to have an authentic voice, be yourself, create your content, and also try to be simple. If you try to overdo it, you find out that it gives you more stress than it's worth it, than it is worth. Because you find out that the video you created without even thinking too much about it was the video that went viral. And if you have experience like Raphael, having experience, be on a platform, like TikTok, when you're trying to choose your platforms when you want to make money in today's era or whatever, the best platforms I would say, obviously Instagram is there if you have your own products and you're ready to, put in the work. But then TikTok is fast growing. So if you want to make money, the quickest way to make money is on TikTok right now. It's the quickest way to grow an audience, the quickest to connect with people because of the live stream feed. Once you get to the live stream feature, you're literally just open to making a lot of money. And this is just from people just liking the value that you offer. And TikTok has a system of gifting. So you don't even have to ask for the money. The people already on TikTok know what to do. So once you start offering a lot of value and people start coming and you join other people's live streams, people just naturally just give you stuff. It just works like that on TikTok. And then YouTube, long-term plan. Think 3 to 5 years down the line, if you're not being aggressive. If you're being aggressive 6 months to 1 year, you should start seeing money. And that also depends on your niche. Use AI. AI is like where the money is at now. This is the gold rush of the century. So use AI.
Anita, thank you very much. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I have to cut you short. I have to wrap up in 2 minutes. Now,
Okay.
just to add to what you're saying, Raphael was talking about not making money. I'm telling you, if you say you have those monthly programs, you can turn all that into like is it a podcast or what they call it? Or you can have that long form content and put it up on YouTube. YouTube will reward you for posting those long form content, particularly when you're adding value. So it could be education, so I'm saying that's something you don't have to do it yourself. I know you can get, you can assign that to someone to do it for you. So just before I wrap up, because I have less than 1 minute, for me, it would be writing this book. And I'll tell you why. Not just writing this book, taking first trip abroad. Now, the reason why that was life-changing for me, because there are so many aspects of my life. There's so many things that I have done just because I took a trip abroad. Yes, I'm a lawyer. I still practice. I've been practicing for, I think this will be my 17th year. We're not young anymore. Remember my 17th year. And travel, I started traveling when I was a rookie, when I was just fresh out of law school and, just barely 3 years at the bar. And then from that trip, I was looking for a platform where I could express myself. I started blogging. And then at the time, blogging wasn't giving me the kind of money that I thought it would give me. It was just, I decided to develop other products surrounding it. I tried so many things. Blogging, okay, well, it gave me the platform. I added other things. I added YouTube to it. YouTube was the breakthrough because I was able to provide value. I kept trying something until I realized what people wanted to see. And then I started giving people more of that thing. And then from there, I brought in the visa support service, which people actually do pay me for. And then out of that, I'm deciding, okay, I have so much to say. I want to write a book, and this for me has been life-changing because I'm proud I did this. The feedback has been good. And then the reward as well God has been merciful. So this for me would be my decision to travel is what I would consider a life-changing decision that has also improved my life and that of the people around me. So thank you very much for joining this session. Man, I had, it was better than, I could have planned. I'm happy I have this group of, people, like my friend would say, the people you have, as in I'm wealthy, And this was a very rich session with all the people, that made it possible. So thank you very much, the audience, let's continue this on social media, please. Thank you for sticking with us till the end. My mom is somewhere there. Thank you, Mommy, for sticking with me as well. Thank you. So we have to end the session. And I hope that you all learned a thing or two, about this. You can follow all the speakers on social media. I'm sure you would find it valuable. You should be careful, about the people you follow on social media because I just realized that the way the algorithms work, you just follow one thing and then they keep showing you more of that kind of thing. So if you're following the right people, you realize that the algorithm would send you the right resources that would help you improve your life or maybe inspire you to do the next thing. So thank you very much. I have Faith here with me. Faith has been supporting me, and I have Faith somewhere here in the house. Thank you, Faith. Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Raphael. Thank you, Amarachi. Thank you, Ganze. And I'll see you some other time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.